It's May 2nd, 2019. This is the second video on combing wool. Before we used Viking wool combs and went through, I think, 5 passes, maybe 6 passes to get from the original wool, which looks something like this, to our combed wool. It looks like this, and our discard pile, which looks like this. So these were all together. Our completed wool is this portion here. So I'm going to go over using a diz. A diz is an item that has a hole in it. This is a button. You can either use a button, or you can use, they do make commercial dizzes. They make them out of generally wood or brass. A seashell with a hole in it, a button, a bead. You generally want a hole that's, this is probably, 3/16. So anywhere from like an 1/8 inch diameter to 3/8 inch diameter, much bigger than that, and it will affect the size of your roving, your top. So as we go through this, you'll notice that my 1/8 inch diameter, 3/16 inch diameter diz is going to provide a roving that's has quite a bit more diameter, probably about like that. So you can, with dizzes that are meant to be dizzes, generally they're shallow enough that you can pull through. You can also use something to thread the fiber through the diz. I'm going to use a crochet hook. They do make diz threaders, but generally, and I'm going to tilt this down a little bit so you can see the table. There we go. Okay. All right. Because I'm going to hold this comb on the table. So to thread through the diz, I'm just grabbing a little bit of the fiber that's in there and pulling it through the hole. So now you see there's fiber sticking through the hole. So to use a diz, you want your fiber to be very well combed. So what you do is you pull the fiber out, and think of it as drafting. You don't want to go more than like half of the staple length. So about that far, and then you push the diz towards the fiber supply. You pull out a little bit and push the diz towards the fiber supply. Pull out a little bit, push through to the fiber supply. And as I go, what this is called is top, because it's combed fiber. So this is hand combed top. If you were to use carded fiber, which you can pass carded fiber through a diz, generally that's called roving. So a diz is not exclusive to hand combed fiber, but usually you will see hand combed fiber passed through a diz because it creates a much more manageable, much more familiar top or roving. So as I go, I pull it out a little bit, and I push the diz towards the combs. As I go, and I'm almost done, the diz will get closer and closer to the combs until finally it's off. Sometimes there's a little bit that's left on the combs. If I had combed another pass, I could have gotten that out. But it's very short. This is not desirable spinning fiber. So that's added to my pile. There wasn't a lot because I went through this with several passes. And this is the finished roving. There's a few guard hairs left in there, but it's mostly the downy undercoat. And as you can see, the resulting top is probably 3 inches in diameter, 2.5, 3 inches in diameter through my little 3/8 inch hole. And you can roll this up into a nest to spin later. You can stack it in a box with tissue paper, but this is then hand comb top, and it's incredibly soft compared to the beginnings. It's very airy and fluffy, but with worsted spinning techniques, you will get a true worsted yarn with this. With woolen spinning techniques, you'll get a semi-worsted. But part of what passing it through the Diz is it gives you a consistent number of fibers. So as you go through this top spinning it, it will spin more consistently, which is the point of combing, as you want it consistent. So there's my combed top, very light, very fluffy. Here is the combings, the leftovers, which is a lot denser. Probably about 30% of what I started with, I ended with. It's a hobby sheep, so more will be discarded with a hobby sheep. If you have professional shearers, professionally raised sheep, raised for fleece, you'll probably have different results. Different fibers give you different results. Generally, you'll comb wool, but you can also comb any animal fiber. Vegetable fibers tend to be a bit shorter, so they generally don't comb well because you're limited. You have to have a certain amount of staple length, which is the length of the fiber, in order to use combs. So that is the second part of this video. Like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please let me know. Post questions in the comments, and I'm happy to share what I know with you guys. Thank you for watching.